but being the fact that you've got replica written down the side of your gun. And then I've got Desert Eagle .50 written on the side of mine. Hello everybody, welcome to Go Big Bore or Go Home, where recoil is required. Why? Because we're the house of the rising gun. I'm your host Sean, and 7 years ago yesterday, on June 17th, 2015, we released our first video. That makes this our 7-year YouTube anniversary. As you can see, Ashley made us a cake to celebrate, and we're looking hopefully to have another 7 years or more, depending on where we go. But if you've been with us for a while, we really appreciate it. We hope to see you around on more videos upcoming. And just like we started with an icon, which was the 454 Casull, today we're going to start with an icon. And what better icon is there when it comes to big bore handguns but the legendary Desert Eagle? That's right. We're going to talk today about what it's like to own one of these bad boys. We're going to talk about its accuracy, its features, its reliability. I'd talk about its cleanliness, but we all know now it's a pig. Seriously, very dirty. But let's get down to it. Let's talk about some cool stuff, and let's get a closer look at the Desert Eagle. So let me kind of describe to everybody a little bit about the basics of it, in case you're not familiar. It was first designed for the 357 Magnum, which then grew to the 44 and 41 Magnum, and in 1988, the signature round that we know it for today, the 50 Action Express, was developed specifically for the gun. Today you can still get this gun in 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, and 50 Action Express. However, the 44 Magnum was dropped, and the 440 Corban, which was developed for the handgun, eventually failed due to issues with reliability. Although in 2018 they did develop the 429 Desert Eagle, which is essentially, a modernized spiritual successor to the 440 Corban. This particular model that I purchased that I'm reviewing today came as the 50 Action Express with one magazine, and it also came with a spare barrel in 44 Magnum and one 44 Magnum 8-round magazine to go with it. So it's kind of a combo. They do sell them, of course, in individual calibers in the 357, 44, 429 Desert Eagle, and 50 Action Express. You can also buy a kind of comprehensive kit of the three main calibers in 357, 44, and 50. Now, I will say that the price for these is fairly expensive. I got this on a super good deal, which is why I bought it back in, I think, 2017 or 2018. Now, the concept behind how this pistol works is fundamentally different from what you see with most semi-autos. Most semi-automatic pistols today are based around the Browning short recoil operated tilting barrel mechanism. This is not. This is a rotating locking bolt long stroke gas piston system. Gas piston right here under the barrel. When the gun fires, gas is fed through a gas tube to the front of the barrel and pushes the piston backwards to operate the mechanism. Very cool, very complicated, and in my opinion, very touchy. Some people might use this for hunting. You absolutely can do that in any of the calibers given, just depending on your game and your ammunition selection. But a lot of people buy this because, well, they're kind of cool range toys. I kind of think of one of these as, say, like buying a sports car that's really not meant for the streets. So something that's like a performance level Mustang or a Corvette with a track package, or maybe even something more fancy like a Lamborghini or Ferrari. Because this thing is designed to give you a lot of performance and to have a kind of a cool factor. It definitely does that, and I'll get more into some of the parallels there. But it's it comes with one magazine of whatever caliber you get it in. Most of the barrels, unless you're in California, have the Picatinny rail here up at top. California, I think, does the Weaver thing. It also has manual safety. It's a single action pistol. It's definitely not ambidextrous. I have a nephew who's left-handed, definitely not the easiest function for him. But Some modifications I've made to mine just so that you guys can see and where it's different, because I've had this firearm for a while. Obviously, you know, I've got these grips here. These are painted on aluminum grips that I just thought were cool. I changed to the old style hook safeties. These are getting harder to find. At the time I got them from Magnum Research. I don't know if they still have them. And this came from when I was operating the pistol. For me, and I know I'm doing it left-handed here, but to operate up here was very difficult with the standard flat safety that they now use, which I'll show a picture of. But so for my hand, I'll kind of illustrate. When I was, you know, sitting here trying to operate, it really was hard to get up there without this bigger safety for me to modulate. So this is a preference, this is a change, this isn't stock. One of the other ones that's more obvious, I have a fiber optic front sight, which I also put on the 44 Magnum barrel, and I'll show, and a fiber optic adjustable rear, which I got these from Magnum Research's website. I think they were about 80 bucks. And this was just for my preference, and mainly because I was going to be shooting different calibers. I wanted an adjustable rear so that maybe I could say, you know, okay, 2 clicks up for this one and the other one leave where it is. Again, that's just an option. Real quick, just to show you on the 44 Magnum barrel, for consistency, I put it there so at least the front sight was the same. And then I added a compensator to the front. It is a extended muzzle brake that was put on by Magnum Research. I had this done at the beginning of the year here in 2022. They're not doing these anymore, so whatever they have on hand, if you want one, get it now. They may already be out of stock because they're moving to the integrated muzzle brakes in the barrel, which I'll show a picture of. Let's talk about what this gun is known for, both good and bad. First thing I want to talk about is the bad, the reliability. These guns have a reputation for being jam-o-matics, and I think there's a half-truth to that. If you feed this gun ammunition that is not on its preferred list, which you can get from Magnum Research and comes with the gun, it's going to have significantly more reliability issues. This gun is a very picky eater. It wants specific ammunition at specific rates of performance. I can tell you right now that I think the 50 Action Express is more reliable than the 44 Magnum from my experience, and I think that's due to the fact that the 44 Magnum is of course a rimmed cartridge, whereas the 50 Action Express has a rebated rim. 44 Magnum tends to like ammunition right around, say, 1180 feet per second to 1250 feet per second with a 240 grain bullet, which it feeds very reliably. It also ejects the shells just straight off to the right. Shooting it in 44 Magnum, by the way, very easy. It's kind of like shooting a 10 millimeter at the worst. The 50 Action Express is another story. We'll get to that in a minute. With the 50 Action Express, I highly recommend Hornady's 300 grain XTP mag bullets that they sell at $14.75. I've had a very good response with this gun being reliable and with being accurate with that round. A couple other things about the reliability: make sure you lock your elbow. Limp wristing will jam the gun. And make sure you keep your gun well lubricated. This is a gun that likes gun oil. Now let's talk about accuracy, because this is something that I think everybody should know. Some people think these guns are going to be inherently inaccurate. Bull crap. These things are super accurate. One thing I'll show you real quick when you open the barrel is, while it's not fixed to the frame, it doesn't move. It is locked in place. So this lack of a tilting barrel, this lack of movement, does aid the accuracy. And one of the things that I did to test this was I tried 2 different loads in 50 Action Express and 44 Magnum. Accuracy with the 50 Action Express, I had a 300 grain Spear TMJ going 1,439. So this was kind of a softer shooting round compared to the next one. And you would think that would be the more accurate round. It was actually the least accurate round between the two. That was the biggest group though, at 3 and 13/16 of an inch, with the smallest group being 2 and 5/16. So when we looked at the average with the 300 grain, it was 2 and 15/16, which was almost 3 inches. Not bad, but nothing impressive. Now, when I went to my 325 grain Spear Gold Dot hand loads, those were going 1,461 feet per second, so a lot more power. And this loading is now my favorite loading for this gun, because I shot the best group of my life at 13/16 of an inch. So, you know, just over 3/4 of an inch for 5 shots. By the way, these are all 5-shot groups, standing freehand at 11 yards or 10 meters. The next best group was 1 3/8 of an inch, so just under 1.5 inches. But average was significantly better at 2 1/8 of an inch, meaning the 50 Action Express averaged 2 7/16, or just under 2.5 inches. When I switched to the 44 Magnum barrel, I tried 2 loads. One of them was in the happy place. It was a 240 grain bullet. It was the Hornady XTP, going about 1,276 feet per second. That loading had an average of 2.5 inches. The next loading I did was admittedly a much more potent. It was almost the same velocity at 1,261, but I was using 270 grain spear jacketed soft points, and average on those was 3 1/4 inches, so much bigger, with an average of 2 7/8 inches. So again, almost 3 inches for the 44, 2.5 inches roughly for the 50. The average between the two, though, was 2 5/8 of an inch. So very impressive. And I absolutely believe if you're looking for accuracy, this gun will shoot better than that. It depends on you. So let's talk about a couple of the quirks of the gun. The gun is very heavy. You can take that or leave it. It helps a lot with managing recoil. The compensator, by the way, really does make a difference on the 50 Action Express. I would not call the recoil unmanageable or abusive or painful. It's just a hell of a lot to contend with. If you're someone like me who likes shooting that stuff, it's definitely pay attention and don't take it for granted, but it's not going to bother you. You'll be fine. But this, because you have to lock your elbow, it takes the 50 Action Express recoil from a sharp jab to a big push. The trigger, as I've stated in other videos, is very heavy. It's not a bad trigger, but it's heavy at over 5 pounds on this gun. It's done on purpose so you don't double tap it. They highly recommend don't ever change that. And the final one is the way the brass on the 50 Action Express or hot 44 Magnum reloads ejects. Now, just to give you an idea, like I said, 44 Magnum will shoot directly off to the right. You know, so nice, out of the way. The 50 Action Express for me shoots back and to the right, as does hot 44 Magnum, and hot 50 will shoot directly back at me and hit me between the eyes in my eye protection. Those cases are a little heavier than you would think, so that's kind of a hello, what's this? But at the end of the day, you know, if you're wearing eye protection, you'll be fine. It's just something to be aware of. That's everything you need to know: how it handles, the reliability, the quirks and features, and of course the amazing accuracy of the Desert Eagle. So there you have it, guys, a close-up look at an icon. So let's talk about the Desert Eagle as a wrap-up here. The hits. This thing has a cool factor like no other. Seriously, if you want to be the darling of the range, if you want something that'll make you smile when you look at it and you're safe, if you want something that just has a cool look to it and a cool feel to it, hard to beat a Desert Eagle. They're just fun. They really are. 2, accuracy. You gotta love the accuracy of this gun. If you're a good shot, this will make you look like a great shot. If you're a great shot, it'll make you look like a marksman. If you are a marksman, you're gonna be impressing other marksmen with this thing. Seriously. And finally, power. If you do want a powerful handgun for hunting or for long distance target shooting, or, you know, because you like to go out to the desert and, you know, maybe shoot watermelons or something, this gun will not let you down. Seriously, very powerful. The misses. Let's talk about that weight. This thing is a porker. It's very heavy, so if you're going to hunt with it, I highly recommend a chest holster, because honestly, wearing this on your hip all day is going to be a real pain. And even wearing it this way could wear you back out. If you're target shooting, when you're sitting here holding it for your 5-shot group, it can really weigh you down. So kind of a bummer. Another one, reliability. As much as I hate to say it, I know some people have no problems, but the vast majority of us do have some reliability issues. It's not the worst thing in the world because it's more of a target gun, and even if you're hunting, chances are good you're not going to be doing more than 1 or 2 shots. So again, not the worst downside, but it can be a nuisance. So keep that in mind. And finally, cost. These are like owning a expensive luxury supercar. They're expensive to buy, they're expensive to maintain, and they're expensive to shoot. You know, you gotta have to learn how to reload, in my opinion, to really make use of these, because the cost of ammo will add up fast. So I forgot to give you guys a final shot on the Desert Eagle, so here it is for you. If you want a handgun for handgun hunting, there are better options at lower prices. If you want something that's going to be a fun range toy with power to spare and accuracy to impress, the Desert Eagle will not disappoint. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review of the Desert Eagle. I wanted to do something a little different because I know I've reviewed 1911s a lot, and let's face it, I have a few more. So what can I say? I like 1911s. But I thought this would be a fun change of pace and for our YouTube anniversary to have an icon. So thank you for 7 years, and as always, go big bore or go home.